Welcome back to Pie Crust 101, where today we'll be talking about how to par bake and blind bake pie crust. No more collapsed or shrinking or burnt crusts, just perfect results every single time. Last time we talked about how to make perfect pie dough, where we talked about how to mix the dough, how to check for the correct consistency, and I even showed you how to change the texture of the pie crust and how to create extra flaky pie crust too. Today we're going to start out by rolling the dough that we made last time. Let's go. Place the rested pie crust on a floured surface and then use the rolling pin to whack the dough a few times, especially if it's a little too hard. This just helps to make the dough more malleable and easy to work with. Now here are some tips you need to remember about rolling out the dough successfully. Start from the center and roll out to the outer edge. Do a quarter turn after each rollout to keep the crust evenly thick in all directions. If the edges crack while you roll it out, use your hands to repair the cracks as you go. Try to keep the dough in the shape that you want it to be throughout, like a circle or a rectangle. Flip the dough over so you roll out the dough on both sides, which will make sure that your dough is nice and smooth on both sides as well. The dough should not stick to your work surface. That's why it's important to keep the dough moving. So make sure it can be moved easily on the surface by moving it around as you roll it out, and add a light dusting of flour whenever you need it as well. If the pie dough starts to become elastic, where it shrinks back when you try to roll it out, then stop putting too much force on it. Just dust the surface slightly, fold the dough loosely and wrap it with plastic wrap and place it on a tray in the fridge to rest. The gluten has been overworked and needs time to relax so it can switch from being elastic to more stretchy. This can take as little as 10 minutes, but it can also take up to 60 minutes as well. You should also wrap the dough if the dough becomes too sticky and the butter is melting, and place it in the freezer for the butter to harden. Cold butter is the key for flaky pie crust. After the dough has been rested, you can roll out the pie dough again until it reaches about 3 millimeters in thickness. The dough should be more than large enough to cover a 9-inch deep dish pan easily. Because of the butter in the pie dough, we don't need to butter the pie dish at all. I've tried this crust on glass, ceramic, and metal pans, and I've never needed to butter the pan at all. The next important part is how to line the pie pan with the pie crust dough correctly. Now, doing this wrong will give you a shrunken and collapsed pie crust. So here's what you need to know. Transfer the pie crust dough onto the pie plate. You can either fold the dough into quarters and transfer the dough, or roll it onto a rolling pin and carefully unravel it on the pan as well. Make sure that the pie plate isn't warm or it will start to melt the butter before you even bake it. To fit the dough in the pan, be careful not to stretch it. Instead, lift the dough and carefully lay it back into the pan using your palm to fit the dough into the bottom without stretching it. And then drape the crust over the side. Repeat this process all along the pie plate. Then gently press the pie crust dough along the bottom of the plate edge with your finger like this to anchor the dough to the plate. Now see these folds that have formed on the dough here? Gently unfold it and flatten it against the pie plate and drape the crust over the edge without stretching it. I also like to use my hand to make sure the pie crust doesn't shift or stretch as I do this. The next step is to trim the excess pie dough that hangs over the edge. I like to measure the excess from the inside edge of the pie pan instead of the outer edge because some pie pans have a decorative ledge and some don't. For a single crust pie, whether it's blind baked or par baked, I prefer to keep a 1-inch overhang that I mark roughly on the dough and then trim it off using a small knife or scissors. To form the pie crust edge, roll the excess dough underneath. You can fold it under as well, but I prefer to roll it so it's more secure and it won't unravel as the pie is baking. If there isn't enough of an overhang to roll under, you can use some of the trimmed dough to create a margin instead. Just place a piece under the crust and press it to stick together like this. Now you'll be able to roll it under to form the crust. Roll the dough under all around the edge to create the crust. Then use your fingers to kind of shape the crust so that it's mostly evenly thick all around. And I also like to use my fingers to make sure that it's flush against the inner rim. If the crust is very soft, refrigerate or freeze it for a few minutes to firm up the crust. And now it's time to crimp or flute the edge. Crimping the pie crust edge is more than just decorative. The thicker and heavier edge clings onto the top of the pie plate, and it actually helps to prevent the crust from slipping down as it bakes. I'm going to show you how I create a fluted pie crust edge here. Here I'm using my finger, a thumb or index finger, to push the crust against the pie plate at an angle while I'm pushing the crust into the pie with my fingers on the opposite hand to create a fluted wave. Pushing the dough out at an angle helps the dough cling onto the pie plate better. Repeat this process all along the pie crust edge, and you can add more scalloped edges by reducing the space between your fingers to create smaller and tightly packed fluted edges, or increase the distance to make larger, more spaced fluted waves as well. Now cover the pie plate with plastic wrap and refrigerate it for at least 30 minutes before blind baking it. This gives you plenty of time to preheat the oven properly. Let's finally talk about blind baking pie crust. This method is used for pie crusts that are baked without a filling. Blind baked crusts are fully baked without a filling, while par-baked crusts are only partially baked. The filling is then added later, and the crust is baked all the way through along with the filling. This recipe will cover a foolproof method of blind baking that has never caused my pie crust to collapse, burn, or shrink. We will be blind baking the pie crust at 350 Fahrenheit or 180 Celsius for a longer time than at a high temperature for a shorter time like other recipes. Line the inside of the chilled pie with foil or parchment paper. You can use either, but I prefer foil because it conducts heat better than parchment paper. Be careful not to tear the foil, and when fitting it flush against the crust, make sure it's not digging into the crust. Lightly crumpling the foil can help with this, but you have to make sure not to tear any holes in the foil. A chilled firm crust will also make this process so much more easier. Fold the excess foil over the edges like an umbrella without touching the crust, because the foil can then act as a shield for the edges as they bake as well. Alright, let's talk about pie weights. We have ceramic pie weights that have been specifically designed for this, but most people only add one layer of the weights, and this isn't enough to keep the sides from sliding down as the pie bakes. But buying a lot is very, very costly. That's why I prefer using rice or white sugar instead. These are smaller in size, so they press the dough against the pie plate better. They're inexpensive, so you can use enough to fill the pie plate properly. Plus, the rice is reusable, as is the white sugar. And the sugar can be used in your baked goods as well, even after you use it as pie weights multiple times. Okay, so now fill the foil-lined pie plate with the white sugar or rice and press it down well to make sure it's filled the pan properly. Now place the pie pan in the preheated oven on top of the preheated sheet pan. The sheet pan has two purposes. One, to catch any melted butter from the crust as it bakes. 2, the preheated sheet pan will help cook the crust from the bottom so you have a nice crisp pie crust. Bake the pie at 350 Fahrenheit, 180 Celsius for about 45 to 50 minutes. After baking it for about 50 minutes, take the pie crust out of the oven and carefully lift out the foil with the pie weights. Then use a fork to prick the bottom of the crust, which will allow venting as the pie bakes further in the oven. At this point, if you need a par-baked pie crust, return the crust into the oven for just 5 minutes. See how the bottom of the crust looks really wet? We just want to dry this out for a par-baked pie crust. Then you can fill the par-baked pie crust with a filling and then bake it until the filling and the crust is baked through. You can see how a par-baked crust is quite blonde in color. There's not a lot of golden color to it, especially when compared to a fully blind baked crust like this. For a fully blind baked crust, bake it for about 15 minutes until the crust is golden brown. You can even see how the bottom of the crust has baked through perfectly. The pie crust is just so perfect, no collapsed or shrunken edges. Blind baked pie crust can then be filled with fully cooked or no cook fillings. These fillings can make the crust soggy sometimes, but thankfully here are some ways to prevent it. During the last 5 minutes of blind baking, take the pie crust out of the oven and brush the entire surface with a layer of egg wash. Then bake it for 5 to 7 minutes to dry out the egg wash and set on the crust, and it will become shiny and golden. This layer will act as a barrier between the crust and the filling. The next option is to use any kind of melted chocolate. You can brush the fully blind baked pie crust with melted dark chocolate, milk chocolate, white chocolate, or even melted cocoa butter. As the chocolate sets, it will prevent the pie crust from getting soggy from the filling, and also it can be used to seal any holes or cracks that might be in your pie crust too. In our next video, we're going to talk about double crusted pies like fruit pies and how to do decorative and lattice crusts as well. Did you find this video helpful? If you did, make sure to follow me so that you don't miss my next video in the Pie Crust 101 series. And I will see you next time.